So let's talk a little bit more about self-worth, feeling like you're not enough, shame, and where that all comes from. It comes from your parents. It starts in childhood. That is the origins of our worldviews, how we see other people, the world, and how we view ourselves. For me, my mom is an alcoholic. I grew up in a very toxic home. My parents were divorced when I was 5. My sister was an infant. And my dad was in our lives kind of every other weekend, kind of thing. And my mom prioritized drinking, partying, and her horses. And so, with that, it was a very tumultuous environment. It was very like you felt like you're walking on eggshells. You really don't know if mom's going to be in a good mood or a bad mood today. She would throw parties. She would take us to parties when we were just little kids. And she would yell at us a lot, like a lot. She was always angry and bitching, more so than not, I should say. And so I didn't have positive, nurturing, loving reinforcement. I didn't have a caring, doting mother. I didn't have reassurance. I didn't have someone tell me that I'm enough just as I am. And to this day, she will still shame me. She doesn't realize she's doing it, but it's what it is. She's very good at making me feel like shit about myself. And it's really kind of twisted. I mean, because it's like, I know she loves me, but the way that she portrays it and talks about it, she's very, she has her own problems. I don't know how else to describe it. She has her own problems. She's very unhealthy. And if you've ever been around an alcoholic, or if you have an alcoholic parent yourself, you'll know what I mean. Some are worse than others. Mine wasn't like physically abusive, although she did threaten us with a wooden spoon a few times if we got out of bed. That was traumatizing for a little child when all you want is your mother. But she's more just like nothing was ever good enough. Nothing was ever good enough. And so I internalized that, meaning I'm not good enough. Nothing I do is ever good enough. No jobs I ever have are good enough. Nowhere I live is ever good enough. Nothing I ever do or say is good enough in her eyes. And if you call her out on something like that, she'll say, "That's not true. Of course you are." But the way she words it says otherwise. And so I grew up with lots of shame, did not love myself. And that translated into me partying, drinking, doing drugs, sneaking out, hooking up with guys. I'm not proud of where I've been and what I've been through. And yet I also don't have regrets because it's shaped me into who I am now. And I've overcome a hell of a lot. And, just because an infant, people think they don't remember things, but they do. They do. But it's a type of memory, it's implicit memory. And children remember from the womb. So if a child is not really wanted and not loved, they know it. They absolutely know it. I found out recently that when my dad would come home from work, my mom would just pass me off as a little infant to him and go out to the barn with the horses and be gone for the rest of the day. And as an infant, you are still one with your mother. A mother and a baby are one for months. I think it's not until month 4 or 6 that a baby starts to realize that they're separate and individual. And so that registers as mom abandoned me. She was gone. There was another time in my childhood after dad was gone. I don't know what happened. I don't know why she was so upset. But one time she did actually leave. I have this blip of a memory of her yelling and screaming and getting into her truck and driving off. And I stood in the driveway watching her leave, screaming and crying. And then I dissociated. I don't remember what happened after that. I blanked out. She was the only caregiver, and she left. She left. She physically left, and she was not emotionally there. She was not mentally there. So I grew up in a very difficult situation, and I'm not the only one. I know there's a lot of us that have been through similar situations, and it's hurtful. And you'll never get an apology from an alcoholic ever. She's not sorry for anything, because you know what? If she says sorry, that means she has to own up to what she's done. She has to own up to her own demons and her own accountability and culpability for her own life and how things have turned out. And that's just too much. She's not going to do it. So I have to learn to accept that I will never have a loving, caring mother like I need in my life. She's there, she's in my life, but not the way that I ever need it. The way that she always showed money, or the way that she always showed love, is with money, but she was never there to snuggle with us or comfort us if we were sick. She would never just hold us. I mean, maybe a couple times, but I don't really have solid memories of this. In fact, I don't have solid memories of a lot of my childhood. Most of it is completely blanked out. I dissociated a lot. And my dad even told me recently, and he said that he would notice my face would just go blank, like I would just change. And I was checked out. I was checked out. So, shame is internalized, and it means that you feel there's something wrong with you inherently. It means that you feel you are wrong. You're not enough. And it's not true. It's not true at all. We are enough. We are inherently worthy by being alive. And we are actually children of God, not our parents. Our parents are the vessels and the portal to bring us earthside. And other than that, that's it. Really, especially for those of us that grew up in a shitty, alcoholic, toxic home. That's the best you got sometimes. And they were here on earth just to bring you into it. And really, God is your parent, and God is who we should be leaning on and relying on. And that's really difficult sometimes. And it takes practice, I think. And it takes surrender. It just takes deep surrender. So I'll leave it at that for now. I'll share more about my childhood in the next video.